Breaking news right now at 5, a third arrest, this time Fotis Dulos charged with capital murder and kidnapping. We have new video just into the newsroom showing Fotis Dulos arriving at McDougall Walker Correctional Institution, where he is now being held on a $6 million bond. His girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, in custody, charged with conspiracy to commit murder. NBC Connecticut was there as police swarmed Fotis' home on Farmington.
Jennifer Dulos was last seen dropping off her children at school in New Canaan last May. The couple had been in the middle of a bitter divorce and a custody battle over their 5 children at the time of her disappearance. It has been an active, nearly 8-month investigation. Police have found a lot of evidence, including bloody clothing belonging to Jennifer Dulos, but her body has never been found.
Still, authorities say they have enough evidence now to charge her estranged husband with murder. We have team coverage from all across the state as the reaction continues to pour in tonight. We're going to start with NBC Connecticut's Shannon Miller, who's been covering the story for quite a while. Shannon.
Yeah, Mike, all of this unfolding earlier this morning, again, at Fotis Dulos' Farmington home, where police arrested him on those murder charges. He then took that 45-minute drive by police escort down here to State Police Headquarters in Bridgeport, where he came in wearing a gray T-shirt. He was fingerprinted and then had time to meet and speak with his attorney, Norm Pattis. We spoke with another attorney, Kevin Smith, on his team today about what is next for Dulos, and here's what he had to say.
We are debriefing with him, preparing him for the process to come, including the arraignment tomorrow morning, where we expect him to be taken this evening, and discussing with him a summary of what we've read through thus far in the warrant. We were only given that belatedly.
Now, again, we want to show you that video just moments ago of Dulos arriving at the McDougall Walker Correctional Unit in Suffield, where he is being booked and will stay the night. That's about an hour and 10-minute drive from here. Last time Fotis Dulos was here was in September. We want to send it back to you guys. And we're hearing from Norm Pattis right now in a live news conference.
Our lawyers, Kent Mawhinney, was arrested, and we believe he was charged with conspiracy to commit murder. We are obviously chastened by the fact that the state thinks there is sufficient evidence to pursue Mr. Dulos for such serious crimes. But frankly, we are very encouraged by our preliminary review of the warrants. Very little was disclosed today that is new. And what was exposed was a shocking lack of confidence by the state in its case. Charging both murder and felony murder sounding in kidnapping suggests that the state's not sure what theory it's pursuing. Additionally, early in the case, much was made in the warrants of difficulties Mr. Dulos was having concluding the divorce with his ex-wife. That is surprisingly absent from the most recent warrant. Instead, the motive seems to be changed now to that of a financial crime, with the theory that Mr. Dulos might potentially be in a position to serve as executor or trustee of a fund maintained for the benefit of his children. We categorically deny that Mr. Dulos had any involvement in the disappearance of his wife, Jennifer, and we defy the state to prove that she is in fact dead. As far as we're concerned, Mr. Dulos is not guilty, and the warrants served today come as a great relief to us. They come as a relief because after months of listening to innuendo, suggestion, and rumor, we now have something to shoot at, and we intend to begin firing those shots at Mr. Dulos' bond hearing tomorrow morning. Additionally, the thing we found most disturbing today was the treatment of Mr. Dulos by the Connecticut State Police. Ms. Troconis was given an opportunity through her counsel to arrive, to turn herself in at her leisure, or at least given notice that the police were en route. But for our having received a tip from someone in the state police, the police would have arrived at Mr. Dulos' home before we did. But we got there first. And then when we arrived, we were told he would be taken to the state police barracks in Bridgeport, and that we would be given a copy of his arrest warrant affidavit there. We waited in the lobby for more than 3 hours to see Mr. Dulos and to get a copy of his warrant. In the meantime, Mr. Troconis' lawyer waltzed in and was immediately shown and given access to his client. We were told that we weren't going to get a copy of the affidavit until the state police press officer finished writing a press release. We raised questions about that and ultimately received the affidavit. Then we were told we could talk to Mr. Dulos on the phone later. They had to get him out of the room, and when we went outside, we saw all of your cameras were pointed at their sally ports, suggesting they were going to try to spirit him away without a meeting with us. We demanded treatment similar to that Mr. Troconis received, and we ultimately got it. So, you know, the state of Connecticut's picked this fight. The state of Connecticut sought a gag order. The state of Connecticut has thrice now driven a dagger into the presumption of innocence and into the heart of Mr. Dulos by accusing him of scandalous crimes. We are confined and constrained in what we can say at this point, so we'll simply leave it at this. If this is all the state's got, we wonder why it bothered. We are very confident in our odds at trial, and we look forward to meeting these allegations in open court beginning tomorrow morning. Having said that, we can take, I guess, some limited questions. So who's got one?
Can you talk about say his name, Commissioner Mawhinney? Are you concerned that a fellow attorney's been charged? How does this affect your case?
Mr. Mawhinney has been charged. It's not apparent to us from reading Mr. Dulos' warrant why. We're going to review his warrant, Mr. Mawhinney's warrant, this afternoon. It is an extraordinary thing to charge a member of the bar with a crime, especially a crime as serious as conspiracy to commit murder. Mr. Mawhinney was an important part of our defense. We believe he was with Mr. Dulos that morning. It's easy to charge conspiracy, but now that he's been charged, he's going to be testimonially unavailable to us, at least for the time being. So we're concerned that this witness has been placed off limits. We believe that friends and family members will be, we've been in touch with the bondsman, and we believe that he will work with the bondsman to post bond tomorrow or shortly thereafter.
What was his movement response?
Well, I mean, that's really none of your business, is it? I mean, how did you have the money to get here today? How did you have the money to dress as well as you do? I mean, just because he's making the bond doesn't mean you have a right to know his financial affairs. Next question.
What was his movement response?
I don't talk about my communications with clients. Anyone else?
Mr. Mawhinney have separate attorneys, and are you coordinating with them, or do you not coordinate with them?
I don't know what he's going to do about counsel. Candidly, that was the only time we've been surprised in this file. We did not contemplate an arrest of Mr. Mawhinney.
And what do you think made them charge today? Was there something new, or was it just they're after the holidays, they have their stuff together?
If there's something new, they didn't tell us about it because the only thing that was new was the decision to arrest Mawhinney, and Mawhinney plays virtually no role of substance in the Dulos warrant. I know Rich Colangelo. I've known him for 25 years. I know him to be a thorough, decent, conscientious civil servant. I believe he waited until he could put together his best possible case, and this is the best he has to offer. Frankly, I'm relieved that it's just what we've seen.
You say despite Jennifer's DNA blood evidence found on multiple things in trash cans in Albany, in the garage, on vehicles, that you believe she is still alive?
I don't know whether she's dead or alive. There's circumstantial evidence that she may well be dead. I've got to see the quantity of that. I've shaken a number of your hands today, and odds are that some of my DNA is on some of the pens being used to take these notes. I'm alive. Transfer DNA is easy to accomplish. So thank you all for coming out. I'm sorry we were uncivil and didn't have enough space to provide you with a heated location. But come to court, we'll generate
that is
some
Norm
heat there.
Pattis
See you
speaking
tomorrow.
outside of his office in New Haven. Norm Pattis, of course, the defense attorney for Fotis Dulos. Norm Pattis saying that he is encouraged by the preliminary review, his preliminary review of the arrest warrant that has been released in this case.
And right, Fotis Dulos, of course, charged officially with murder today. The other thing that was striking is he said, if the state only had this evidence, why they even bothered to come up with these charges today? He talked about the transfer of DNA being very easy. That's what it seems the state is hinging their case on when they look at this arrest warrant. By the way, if you want to read the entire arrest warrant for both Michelle Troconis and for Fotis Dulos, it's on our website.
And we should just point out Norm Pattis is doing what he is paid to do. He is a defense attorney.
Okay, second person charged in the Jennifer Dulos murder is, of course, Fotis Dulos' girlfriend, Michelle Troconis.
Yes, she was dating Fotis Dulos at the time of his disappearance. According to the arrest warrant, her DNA was found on evidence in this case. Let's get right out to NBC Connecticut's Dan Corcoran in Bridgeport with that part of the story. Dan.
Well, Keisha, Mike, an incredible string of developments in this case today and here at Troop G in Bridgeport, State Police Troop G, where Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis were both brought. They were booked, they were processed, they had their mugshots taken, and now they're spending the night in another facility before they're arraigned tomorrow. Take a look at some video that we shot earlier today of 45-year-old Michelle Troconis coming to and leaving this facility here in Bridgeport. She is now facing a new charge of conspiracy to commit murder. A court set bond of $2 million with this charge. When she did pass our cameras live on NBC Connecticut this afternoon, she was in the passenger seat of that state police vehicle being taken from this facility to a women's prison in Niantic for the night. And this is a little bit of what her attorney, Andrew Bowman, had to say to us this afternoon.
Michelle surrendered to the state police earlier today, okay? And, no, but she has always been extremely cooperative. And, you know, we'll have to deal with these charges in court.
Again, Michelle Troconis will be arraigned tomorrow morning in Stamford after this incredibly big and busy day in a case that so many of us here in Connecticut and across the country have really been watching so very closely. Reporting live in Bridgeport tonight, I'm Dan Corcoran, NBC Connecticut News. Back to you.
Dan, thank you. And there is a third arrest that we're talking about in this case tonight. Attorney Scott Mawhinney described in the arrest warrant as a friend of Fotis Dulos, who also represented him in several civil cases.
And this came as a surprise to a lot of people, including Norm Pattis, who you heard just a moment ago. We learned from state police that he is charged today with conspiracy to commit murder. NBC Connecticut's Caitlin Burchell is live in Hartford with more on what we've learned. Caitlin.
Yeah, Mike and Keisha, we were here in Hartford as 3 state police troopers pulled up to the law office that represents Kent Mawhinney, looking for him. Now, as you mentioned, it was just late this afternoon, though, when he was arrested on a charge of a conspiracy to commit a murder in connection with the Jennifer Dulos case. This is video you'll see only on NBC Connecticut. State police looking to arrest Kent Mawhinney here in Hartford. Today, Fotis Dulos' arrest warrant suggests that Dulos and Mawhinney were seemingly close friends. Mawhinney had represented Dulos in civil cases in the past. In addition, we found court documents filed by Mawhinney's wife. Dulos was acting as an in-between for Mawhinney and the woman, helping them with their marital problems, according to those documents, during the time Jennifer Dulos disappeared. Police say Mawhinney was arrested for sexual assault, disorderly conduct, and unlawful restraint during a domestic violence incident in January 2019. Now, during our last conversation just a couple of hours ago, not even, Mawhinney's lawyer said he hadn't seen the arrest warrant for his client, so he didn't have comment at this time. Now, Mawhinney's bond is expected to be set at $2 million bond, according to state police. Live in Hartford, Caitlin Burchell, NBC Connecticut News.
All right, thanks, Caitlin. And within hours of the Fotis Dulos arrest, state police released that large arrest warrant they say tied Fotis Dulos to Jennifer's murder.
NBC Connecticut's Leslie Mays has been reading through, you mentioned that large report, it's 35 pages. She joins us now with some of the details laid out by the state. Leslie.
Mike and Keisha, authorities say to date Fotis Dulos has still provided no cooperation with investigators and has maintained he had nothing to do with his estranged wife's disappearance. He also says he still believes that she is alive. But the arrest warrant sheds a lot of light on how authorities ultimately moved to charge him with kidnapping and felony murder today. Physical evidence recovered along Albany Avenue was a big factor in the police investigation over the summer. You'll remember police said a man who appeared to be Fotis Dulos, along with a woman who appeared to be Michelle Troconis, his girlfriend, recorded disposing of garbage bags along Albany Avenue the night that Jennifer disappeared. Well, the arrest warrant, it lays out some of what was recovered from those garbage bags, including a bloody paper towel, a sponge, clothes, undergarments, duct tape, and more that all contain Jennifer Dulos' DNA. Additionally, the warrant also outlines what police say is Fotis Dulos appearing to remove the cargo liner of Jennifer Dulos' Suburban, which was missing from her vehicle that was found near Waveney Park. Now, Jennifer Dulos' nanny also provides information that conflicts with Fotis Dulos' original claims that he had been inside of Jennifer Dulos' home, explaining why some of his DNA may have been found there. The nanny told investigators that Jennifer didn't want Fotis inside of the home at any time and that the two of them went to great lengths to make sure that Fotis was never inside of the house. Now, one of those charges that Fotis Dulos was met with today, police believe it is kidnapping, saying that Jennifer Dulos was possibly somewhere or restrained before she was killed. Now, it was outlined in this warrant. We're going to have much more on that coming up in the news at 6. For now, I'm Leslie Mays, NBC Connecticut News.
Leslie, thank you. Jennifer Dulos' family is thanking Connecticut State Police and New Canaan Police for their work. In a statement, they say, although we are relieved that the wait for these charges is over, for us, there is no sense of closure. Nothing can bring Jennifer back. We miss her every day and will forever mourn her loss. The family is also asking for privacy during this time.
So we know that Fotis Dulos has been charged with his estranged wife's murder, but what police haven't said is if they found Jennifer's body or what kind of evidence they have found. We're going to talk to local forensics expert about what officials can do if they don't find Jennifer. We'll be right back.